All right, friends. Hey, my name is Jared Dodd. So happy to be speaking into your life just a little bit. Want to encourage you that family is a gift from God. Want to encourage you that regardless of where you're at in this journey, God's grace is powerful enough to resurrect all things. If He can save you and me, He can save our families. He can encourage us. He can get the hearts of our children. He can turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, the hearts of the children to the fathers. So excited to be with you today. We are going to talk about something today that I haven't talked about before. And I'm just going to give a big disclaimer. I'm not saying I figured this out perfectly. I'm not saying I'm an expert at this, but it's something that my family and I have been journeying through for 2 decades now. And I think it's important. I think it's really important because what we do in the physical realm affects the spiritual. And this isn't the biggest deal in the world by any means. This is definitely peripheral, but I think it might be something that will bless you. So we're going to talk about the joys of minimalism. Minimalism is the idea that maybe we have too much stuff. And man, in the history of the world, I dare say we have more stuff. We have more stuff than ever before. And stuff is great. Stuff is great, but there are traps that we can fall into. So sometimes, and this might not apply to you at all, but sometimes there is stress and frustration in a home, and no one can quite put their finger why. And sometimes one of the hidden causes of that frustration, especially for mamas, stereotypically, and very often they don't know why. My wife was kind of stressed out and frustrated. She's like, man, something's really bothering me. And then she put her finger on it. Too much stuff. Just too much stuff. And friends, it's a simple formula. The houses start empty, and then things come in the door. And more stuff comes in the door than goes out of the door. And so it just keeps adding and adding and adding and adding. Many of you listening have a handful of kids. Let's say you have 5 kids. Well, between birthdays, Christmas, thrifting, everything else, guess what? There is a ton of stuff coming into your house. The old stuff gets pushed aside. It gets stored. The new stuff is new for a bit, and then the process repeats itself. And you end up with a house full of stuff. I have to imagine there are many people listening to this right now nodding their heads in agreement. And so you end up with rooms that look clean, but if you just bump into the wall a few times, if you just spend a few minutes with it, especially with a few kiddos, it all of a sudden becomes an absolute disaster. And so it's like this game, the game or the thing that guys will do on stage where they have the plates and they have the sticks and they're spinning the plates and the sticks. Well, this is like keeping all this stuff in the cupboards, keeping it all in its designated spaces, and it's just jam-packed full. And we keep buying more furniture and more bins to hide all of our stuff. Now, once again, for some of you, you're going to be like, no, that's not me. But for others, you completely understand. And so I want to offer some personal tips I have for dealing with stuff. Once again, I'll give one more disclaimer. The advice I'm about to give you might be bad advice, and it certainly is not for everyone. And I don't have this figured out. I am not a master. This is just sharing my story. And this is my opinion. This is based on my personality. There are multiple ways to deal with stuff. And I'm sure many others out there have much better ways than what I'm going to offer. Okay, well, I want to give you just principles. I've got 4 principles. Well, okay, these are principles / ideas. Some of these are going to be principles. Some of these are going to be ideas. Okay, principle number 1 is guard your home. Guard your home. Now, obviously, you don't want to be a Nazi because that, in the sense of taking it too far. You don't want to be a Debbie Downer and just rob joy. But you need to be mindful that, once again, the doors of your home are like a vacuum. It's really easy for things to come in. It's tricky for things to get out, okay? And man, in this day and age, commercial companies have advertised well, where it's easy for us to just get junk that give our kids or ourselves a short endorphin, very brief release of endorphins, and then they become a burden. So we just need to count the cost, right? Once again, if you're anything like me, we get stuff, we're excited about it, and then we don't use it and we regret it, but we think, well, someday I might. And some of us are hoarders, right? I know many of our parents and grandparents, kind of the World War II generation, who them or their parents went through the Great Depression. It's easy to be hoarders. And once again, I'm not judging hoarders. I'm not saying it's wrong. You can fill your house to the brim if you want to. I'm just saying for many people, especially mamas, this can cause stress. So I would encourage you to see some things as having a lifespan. So you're going to get a toy, and you're going to say, okay, this is a fun toy. We're going to use this. And once, in a few months when we're kind of done using it, we're going to donate it. We're going to sell it. We're going to get rid of it. We're going to give it to our friends. Actually, hold off on that or. But, this would be toys. This could be games. This could be clothes, right? Maybe you have hand-me-downs. Maybe you hand down. Maybe you trade with another family. Books. Books. Please just hoard books. Books are great. But let me give you, as far as things having a lifespan, you can either get rid of them, or here's something that I've never done, but I've been talking about it for years, and it's the seasonal idea, especially with toys. Okay. Have you ever been rummaging in a closet and you find a set of Lincoln blocks or something like that that's been lost in the back closet or an attic? You pull it out and your kids come and like, oh man, I missed that. And they play with it for 4 days straight. Why? Because even though it's old, it hasn't been played with lately, so it's new, right? We get bored with stuff. It's kind of like watching movies. There are movies that I can watch once a year, but I'm not going to watch them 2 days in a row. Like we watch Lord of the Rings trilogy once a year in Christmas time. And of course, you know why, because you're all Tolkien fans and you know that they left Rivendell on Christmas Day. And so that got me on I lost track of that. Okay, so you find an old toy and your kids love it. So why not do this? Why not have a fall bin, a spring bin, a summer bin, a winter bin, fill it full of toys, mark your calendar, and those are the toys you play with your younger kids. And then once it's the end of that season, you pack them up. Kids are kind of getting tired of them anyway, and you switch out for the other bin. Now it's summer toys, and maybe it fits more, like it's water guns, stuff like that. Actually, water guns drive me crazy, but they're fun. But anyhow, wouldn't that be a cool idea? I think that's a great idea. Why have I never done it? Because I'm the kind of guy that comes up with great ideas and never does it. Drives my wife crazy, but whatever. So I think that's a great idea. You guys try it. Shoot me an email, doddclan7@gmail.com. Let me know how it goes. All right, let me go to another principle. So that first principle is just seeing things as, guarding your home, see things as having a lifespan, maybe try the seasonal idea. Okay, let's talk about the principle of minimalism, okay? And the principle of minimalism says less is more. You say more what? More peace. And so if you haven't used it in months, you don't need it, with little exception. Like for instance, if you have a pair of boots for ice fishing, and you ice fishing twice a year, okay, you've got to store those somewhere. Certain tools. But friends, I guarantee you're going to know what I'm talking about. Right now, I could go into the back of your shed or your attic or my attic, and I could throw everything away, and you probably wouldn't miss it, right? You probably would not miss it. And so the principle that I'm walking by now this is something I've done, just getting rid of stuff. And I do it 3 times a year. I'm like, okay, it's time to minimalize this house, and we go through and we get rid of stuff. It's a painful process for the kids, but I'm like, hey, it's going to be so much easier to keep your room clean. Like with my daughters, I've been showing them that, hey, if you get rid of this stuff and just have a few things, this room's going to be really easy to keep clean. So the principle I have with just stuff is, if it doesn't cost much, I would rather not have it and maybe have to buy it if I happen to need it, which I likely won't, then have all this stuff take up all this space that I probably won't need. So let me think of an example. If I find, let's say I have a cardboard box and it has a couple of extra outlet covers and outlets and some wire. And it's a box that's, let's say, one square foot. I would rather personally, now this is just personal, I would rather throw it away. And if I need an outlet, I can just go buy one for $1.15 or $1.80, right? All right, so that's a principle. Okay, let's move on. I just got two more points, then we'll land this plane. Okay, let me give you my personal idea. And by the way, my wife would greatly appreciate me saying Mrs. Dodd would think differently on some of these, because I definitely don't want to misrepresent her. We are definitely on the same team, but we have different preferences on these, and this is one of them. How to declutter a room. Okay, I'm going to give you my way to do it. Let's say that your room, your kid's room, it's driving you crazy. It's just full of stuff, and you're not sure what to do. Now, this is just my way that I do it. Many people in my family don't like it, but for me, it's the only effective way. Here's what you do. Get ready. You literally take everything out of the room. Now, obviously, you're not going to take out furniture like a desk or a bed. Maybe you should consider it, but you're going to empty everything. I mean, everything where it looks like an Airbnb, where you walk in, there's a bed, there's a chair, there's a dresser. It's all empty. Every shelf is empty. Every drawer is empty. The closet is empty. There is nothing in there. You take it all out, and what it does is you go in and you're overwhelmed in a good way, saying, this room is so clean. And then you start getting really picky, because see, the other option is I leave everything in the room and I just start taking some stuff out. And that's great. That works, but I really think this works better. You empty it all out, and then you start really counting the cost. Okay, do we need this? Now, are there times where I want to get rid of stuff, but my daughters are like, Daddy, no. Yes. Do I give in to them? Often. So I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing. I'm just being transparent with you, but this is something that really, really works. And you end up with, putting things in your room. You're very picky, and all of a sudden everything's in there. You're like, hey, this is all I need. And you have all this stuff on the dining room table you can either donate, sell, or toss. And now you have a decluttered room. All right, guys. For some reason, I'm really lacking confidence on this talk. It feels weird. So let me just wrap it up with a conclusion. Okay, this is one of the unique issues we deal with that our forefathers likely did not. They didn't have to, for instance, rent extra space to store their junk. If you went back even 100 years and said, hey, in the future, one of the best businesses is going to be people having properties where there's just all these metal closets and people pay $100 a month to just put junk in there, they would have thought you were crazy. But this is where we are. And if the amount of stuff in your house is an issue, then I would encourage you, you need to take dominion and get rid of, just clean house, get it fixed. Now, it's not just cleaning. It's also taking dominion of what comes in. I mean, for instance, if you're on a diet, last point, if you're on a strict diet, if you're on a no sugar diet, the battle is won at the grocery store. You don't bring all of these candy bars in your home and then look at them going, oh, this is so hard. No, the battle is won at the grocery store. Well, in the same way, the battle is won with what you bring in your house. And this might mean talking to relatives, gramps, grandma and grandpa, and saying, hey, this Christmas, we're thinking more like audios and books. Give them some options instead of just useless junk that makes noise, runs on batteries, and falls apart. Yeah, it's kind of nice when it falls apart because then you can just toss it, but you know what I mean. All right, friends, I am definitely landing this plane. Thank you for your patience and grace. Hope this helped. Hope this inspired someone out there. Let's take dominion of our homes for the glory of God. Love you guys very much. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.